Hello and welcome to our 12 o'clock Central Time spot of Carrie's number one communication strategy. I am excited to spend some time with you today. My name is Carrie Burchell, and I am the proud owner of North Star Coaching. I've been playing around with a couple of different taglines lately, so I would love you to give me some input uh, around which one sort of resonates the most with you as we dive into our communication tip of the day. And really, I guess in sort of a teasing or colloquial way, I help leaders and teams play well together in the sandbox, which can kind of be a little bit flippant. And so I'm playing around with different ways of expressing, like I help leaders and teams really talk and engage so that they can, have high productivity and achieve ambitious goals. Feels a little wordy. I would love to know what your thoughts are around what sort of words really identify what we're getting at in part today, which is that communication and really being able to gel and connect with other people so that we can sort of move fast and achieve those ambitious outcomes. So, give me a thumbs up or some comments as we journey through our work together today. So I'm really trying to be more consistent with my lives. I was doing them in the evenings and didn't have great participation. All truth. I missed some of them myself as just the evening busyness of life and family and stuff kind of kicked in. So I'm trying for 12 o'clock Central every other week on LinkedIn and the odd weeks on Facebook. So really wanting to engage you, leave you with some tips, some things to think about as you're commuting and wrapping up your week. Give us a space of reflection. So let's dive into that today and really looking at my number one communication tip. So if I think about helping teams play well in the sandbox together and build cool castles, it really boils down to this number one communication strategy, which is the I feel statement. So, in the forefront, what makes I feel statements so powerful is you're allowed to feel whatever you feel, always. Now, what you do with those feelings, of course, is a second thing to consider. But our feelings are to own and to share. And so it's really hard for other people in a conversation to critique your feeling because you can't critique it. People are allowed to feel whatever they feel. So I feel statements are things like I feel grateful, I feel frustrated, I feel concerned, I feel happy. Those are all I feel blank. Fill in the blank. So shoot me in the chat some feeling words that you're familiar with. Doesn't even have to be what you feel right now, just feeling words. And as you're doing that, let me just kind of give some more context to the power of the I feel statements. So I feel statements are powerful because as a society, we don't slow down very often enough to put words on what we feel. That's the irony. And so not only are I feel statements powerful, on the other side, we don't really slow down enough to even let ourselves feel whatever that feeling is, right? I'll give you an example, high level. So I was doing some group coach training recently with a manufacturing and engineering team. Super, super cool work. I love being a room full of really process driven people and trying to dive into this touchy feely work of I feel statements. And we're learning some coaching skills and how to slow down and actively listen to people, ask great questions. So I came across this dilemma where I had recently gone home. I'm from Canada, I live in the States, and I'd gone home for my father's funeral service. Like that alone is a loaded thing, right? And I was doing a live video there, trying to be more regular and trying to be kind of cloaked about being home because whenever I go home, it's like a tug of war. You have to see everyone, and family never gets enough time, and friends never get enough. You just leave drained, and nobody's happy because you didn't do enough and you gave it your all. And so I had really tried to tell people that I like wasn't in town. Like I just acted like I wasn't even in Canada during this LinkedIn live that I did. And it snuck in that I was watching some traffic patterns and drawing some analogies around how the traffic had grown in Canada and stuff. And somebody after messaged me and said, you just let everybody know that you were in Canada. And I'm like, right, my analogy kind of backfired on me because I didn't want people to know. I didn't want to do that. And so I was stuck with this dilemma on like, now what do I do? Do I call it out? On social media, hey, I'm home, but I'm not seeing anyone. Here's why. I had been kind of private about my dad's passing. And so I was processing this as a case study of coaching skills and active listening with this manufacturing engineering group, full of primarily men. And what was interesting is I wanted to be all tasky. What should I do? Social media, follow up, um, you know, business and action. And the group did a beautiful job of actively listening to me and helping me put words on my feelings that I just wasn't giving myself permission to do. And they said, "No, Carrie, this is about you not wanting to tell people that your dad passed. Like, how do you feel about your dad passing?" I'm as a facilitator welling up in front of this group of leaders that help me be better. And so sure enough, that evening I jumped on and did another live saying like, I feel fill in the blank, right? I feel private about my dad passing. I feel tug of war when I go home. And because of that, here's how I chose to respond, right? And there was zero backlash. Like no one said, "Oh, I really wish you would have contacted me. I really wish we would have known. I really would." Because who can say I feel private about my dad passing? I mean, that's a hard thing to critique, right? Or, I feel tug of war. That's right. I made tug of war a verb. And so really thinking through how feeling words take away the angst, take away the friction, the rub, the competition in a conversation. And feeling words can be positive. So, for example, I have been growing my company. I'm a new entrepreneur, full time consultant, and really, really happy to see that I was invited on a podcast. Feel like in momentum in a lot of ways building it, but still new enough in my entrepreneurial spirit that I am not as confident as I will be 6 months or a year from now. So when this podcast person reached out and invited me on the show, I leaned into it and I made an I feel statement and I said, I feel excited about being on your show. And sure enough, the person said, I feel excited too. Like, and so there's this energy that people want to kind of pull around when someone's brave enough to put in an I feel statement. Conversely, I think of a conversation I had that was conflictual with a colleague when I was working in healthcare years ago, and I had said to the person, I feel undermined by blah 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 blah, name their behavior that I thought was undermining my work. It's a big word, right? And that person really, really like met me to say, gosh, that's not my intention. Here's what I was thinking when I did those behaviors. Here's how it kind of fell out. Okay, I feel undermined. I don't want to feel undermined anymore. Let's talk. And so the magic of the I feel statement is that it brings people together to talk through whatever that feeling is. Worst case scenario, you have an I feel statement and it's, I feel frustrated that we're not making more progress. If the other person says, I don't care, well, who does that tell you more about, right? If you say, I feel hurt, and the other person says, that's your problem, good to know, right? So anytime you're willing to be vulnerable, it sets the stage for you to know more about the other party, or it sets the stage for you to really draw in the other person to whatever you want to work through. Either way, a win-win, right? Either way, a win-win. So I'm thinking of a situation I had just hot off the press, and I was just connecting with a colleague. There was an opportunity for us to potentially do some more work, and I really want to work with this person. And our connection together seemed really serendipitous. And I said to the person, I feel like I feel flowy. I feel grateful that we connected just on a chance. I want to help you shine the spotlight on your good work. I want to help. I feel fortunate. I feel flowy. that we connected. And it really brought the other person into a shared vision, a shared momentum around what we want to do, just some excitement around, yeah, I want to share that space with you. I want to work through that space. So the space can be something like feeling undermined, and somebody wants to reduce that feeling. The space can be, I feel grateful. Oh, me too. And it can grow that momentum and that kind of positive outlook of things. So I want to think through how the I feel statement works in a group setting. So it's neat when you think about the power of feelings, because we are often, we feel them more than we put words on them on an individual basis, right? So the first magic card is using the I feel statement individually, giving yourself permission to feel. The second magic card of the I feel statement can be present in groups. So think back to a recent meeting you had. It could have been at church, it could have been in an office setting, could have been in a neighborhood block party. We recently had some neighbors over for a dinner to celebrate somebody's birthday. So groups, right? Can be any kind of group. More relevant to this work, because the positive feeling stuff is always the easier work to dive into. Think about a situation where there was more than two people, so 5, 10, 15, and there was some friction. So think about a situation like that where it was a group setting and there was friction. So let's look at a group setting from two angles. One is the individual participant in the group, and the other is the facilitator of the group. So let's talk about the participant first. Okay, so let's imagine pretty high level, right? Part of part of the magic of really spending time doing this I feel statement is that when people put words on their feelings, it helps bring in the vulnerability, which creates safety, and that safety can lead to some wonderful innovation. So when we think about sort of resetting through COVID, after COVID, there's a lot of innovation that needs to happen. Things are not going to look the same as they did before. Things currently don't look the same, right? I see organizations redefining processes. I mean, simple stuff like, remoting into work and not how much time we spend in the office, right? So there's a lot of innovation that's happening and needs to keep happening. So the I feel statements can really be a catalyst in creating that safety. So imagine that you're part of this resetting that happens through COVID, and you're in a group meeting. There's 5, 10 people there, could be online, and there's some friction happening. There's competing agendas. People aren't listening to each other. People are responding before they're listening. They're not playing well in the sandbox, right? There's no castle building going on in that sandbox, right? People don't even know what the tools are to start building a castle, right? Whew, you're in that meeting and you're observing that people are cutting each other off. It's coming from, the contributions and the discussion are coming from an agenda, individual agenda, right? Competing agendas. The group's not following the meeting agenda. Maybe there wasn't even an agenda, right? So there's lots of spinning going on. And you're a participant in this meeting and you see the chaos and you're getting more frustrated because we're not moving forward. We need the innovation to happen. We need the resetting for the organization to thrive, for the group to be on point. All of these things going on. In your head, maybe even on a sheet of paper, think about what you're feeling. So, what are some feeling words that can happen in that moment of conflict? Right? I feel frustrated. I feel concerned. I feel worried. I feel anxious. I feel angry. I feel undermined. I feel ignored. If you started a statement with any one of those words, it's going to change the dynamic in that room. I feel confidently, I feel confident that I could guarantee you being brave enough to say an I feel statement in a group meeting that is chaotic and kind of cutthroat. If you lean in and be vulnerable first, it's going to change the dynamic of that meeting. Now, typically what we do is we say, I feel like you're not listening. I feel that we're cutting each other off. I feel frustrated. That would be a good one. And that we haven't followed the agenda. But we use like, that, I think. Those are all words that insert opinion and do not get at feeling. Remember, feelings are unarguable. That's a word, right? No one can argue if I feel undermined, grateful, frustrated, concerned, happy. Those are my feelings. I'm allowed to feel them. But if I say I feel like we're not following the agenda, that's an opinion and I can attack you for it. I feel that we're interrupting each other. No, we're not. Yeah, we are. No, we're not. It's opinion. Feelings are real and they're hard to argue against. Opinions, though, can add fuel to the fire. So in a group meeting, when there's some tense feelings, I dare you. Use an I feel statement. I feel worried that we've gotten off agenda. I feel concerned that we've interrupted each other multiple times. You don't have to point fingers, you. I watch you, I see you do it. No, we just use the we, talk about the feeling word, game changer in a meeting. Now, I'm not saying that it's going to flip the meeting inside out and on its head and radically going to change stuff right away. As a participant in that meeting, though, you will see the other people who heard you. You will start to notice the stakeholders that align with what you're seeing and that you want to make progress and not just enter the discussion from a point of agenda. Try the I feel statement as a participant in there. When you are feeling, your neck maybe go blotchy, you want to leave the meeting and go to the bathroom, take a break, like you're just like, I'm not engaged anymore. This is frustrating. Say it. Put words on what you see happening and what you feel the meeting is getting to. That energy in the room people feel. Now, the other side of meetings is the facilitator. So let's say that is your meeting and people have started jockeying agendas and position and they're off topic and you can see there's more of this stuff going on, maybe even this stuff, and it's not going well. Interrupt, right? Get a space on that floor. Whereas a facilitator, you can say, I'm concerned because blah, 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 blah. I'm worried about the tension in the room. I feel sad that we're talking so disrespectfully to each other right now. I'm just sad about that. How can we get back on track? Right. I'm worried that we don't have like good communication norms going on here. It's easy to say, I think that we don't have some good communication patterns going on. That's going to be opinion. I think that we keep interrupting each other. Opinion. If you use feeling words, though, it's a game changer. Game changer. And as a facilitator, you can put words on the feelings you see in that dynamic. Yeah. When was the last time you saw a leader in a room do that? Pay attention if you have. It's a brave, vulnerable space to call out the feelings that other people in the moment are maybe too friction, too involved, too in the spin to even let themselves slow down and say, yeah, I do feel angry right now. I do feel stepped on. I do feel minimized. When people typically feel, they're in the thick of it. They're in the spin and they don't know what they feel because they're spinning so much. They just are reacting to the emotion and the feelings that they feel. As a leader of those rooms, you can call that out with feeling statements. You can turn the meeting, because if we don't wade through feelings first, we're never going to get the operational outcomes that we want. If people don't feel safe to get innovative, we're not going to have the outcomes that we want. We're not going to achieve those ambitious goals. So part of my wonderful work is that I help teams slow down to go fast. I help people play well in the sandbox to build the castles that they dream of. And part of it is this messy work of helping leaders navigate emotions, of helping teams feel safe enough to identify what they want. help leaders in coaching sessions to really articulate what's working and maybe what's not working for them in those one-on-one coach sessions, right? So we're coming into the holidays. People's behavior tends to flare up a little more because there's all these life things going on. And so our energy level to sort of behave and self manage is a little limited. Emotions tend to peak up, ugly truth. And we have a role as leaders, as colleagues, as friends, as parents to help people put words on what they're feeling. Now, the interesting thing is in these group settings, for example, it kind of doesn't really matter if you're on point when you're the facilitator identifying a feeling in the room, right? If you say, I feel concerned that we're interrupting each other, someone might say, oh, we're not interrupting, we're passionately talking. Okay. So my take on interrupting is not your take. I'm still concerned that we're not moving forward, right? What you see happening is secondary to your ability to put words on it. You don't have to be right. You have to just slow the group down with the I feel statements because they'll slow down because you've just said, I'm concerned because we're interrupting each other. People will slow down to help address your concern. In the rare cases that people don't, if you say, I feel undermined, I feel frustrated, I feel angry, I feel worried, I feel minimalized, in the rare cases that people say that's your problem, good to know. That is not someone that you want to work with. That is not someone that's ready for conversation. They're not ready for creativity. They're going to drive their own agenda. And it's just good for you to know that, right? Because they're not obviously interested in being collaborative. It changes how you interact with them. So good. Information's power, right? Use it. So think about where you see I feel statements come up. We typically say, I feel like, I feel that, or even I think. That was someone's contribution. We have some communication groups. You're welcome to be a part of them. They're free, and it's just people bantering around communication tips. And someone said this week in one of those groups, I hear often, I think that, I think, I think this, I think that you're not being fair. I think that you're going too fast. Hmm. Another way of avoiding the vulnerability of the feelings, right? So if you think that someone is going too fast, say, I feel worried because we're going fast. I feel lost because we're going fast. People are going to want to help respond to your emotions. They're often going to add gasoline to the fire when you bring it up from an opinion or I think that, I feel like, I think, I feel, tricky. So I would challenge you as you're watching TV, you're listening to podcasts, you're looking at some of my YouTubes, exploring some of this, whatever it is that you're exposed to from other sources, listen for when people use I feel statements. It doesn't happen that often. It doesn't happen that often. We avoid our feelings. Brené Brown with Dr. Mark Brackett has a really nice podcast on permission to feel. And it's really an exploration of how, like, as a society, we just don't give ourselves permission to feel. What a concept. So play around with, first of all, where do you hear it, if at all? Listen on TV, listen to your friends chatting on the weekend, Thanksgiving coming up, American Thanksgiving, right? Listen, where do you hear it? I can pretty much guarantee you it's not going to be that often. And people that do use the I feel statements more often are more functional. They're in a healthier space with their relationships. The other thing I'm going to challenge you to do is try an I feel statement. And they can be positive, right? I feel grateful that we connected. So when I had the dinner party the other night with the neighbors, we just had moved to San Antonio. We've been here, I don't know, 6 or 8 months, and have stumbled on this street with just lovely neighbors. And we do things together. Certainly it's COVID, it's outside, easy to connect with the neighbors because they're just right there and so many things are still shut down. And I make a point of saying, I feel so grateful to have met you. Like my transition to San Antonio is so much better because you're my neighbors. Like I feel lucky. Aren't we lucky? And the whole room's just like, "Oh, they're all melting. Me too." We're all like have this love fest around lasagna dinner, right? And it starts with somebody leaning in first. It can be positive. The last thing I'm going to leave you with is a tip. So outside of the I feel statement, get a back pocket line for your I feel. Right? And then you're not sort of caught in the moment of, "Ooh, what is that feeling? Am I angry, happy, concerned?" What? Just have a line that you think fits you, you feel comfortable with. A common one that I'll use, I have two back pocket lines that I really default to. One is I feel anxious about blah, 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 right? Easy to drop that in. People are going to want to rally with you to reduce your anxiety. I feel anxious about the driving. I feel anxious about committing to go on holidays when I don't know what's happening with COVID. I feel anxious about fitting too many things in on Saturday. I feel anxious, whatever. Good back pocket line, right? I feel anxious doing my first podcast, and I feel really excited about it too. Another one that I use is just I feel concerned. And that's also generic, right? Can universally be applied. I feel concerned that we're not making the progress we wanted in this meeting. I feel concerned that I'm not meeting my targets. I feel concerned about your behavior. I feel concerned about your attitude. I feel concerned about our ability to be innovative. I feel concerned that we keep talking about the same thing over and over. I feel concerned that you're stuck. Let's talk. So I feel statements my number one favorite communication strategy, and it's because it pulls people into what I call the vulnerability dance. This is one of the several points that I go through in a crucial conversation course that I'm going to offer in December. So stay tuned. I will be rolling out some communication around that. I'd love you to be a part of my LinkedIn community. That would be awesome. And if you haven't joined me already, Carrie Birchall on a YouTube site, there's a number more of these videos that are just talking about tips and strategies that you can use to help people play well in the sandbox. Doesn't matter if you're retired, working, CEO of a company, VP. The fact is, getting people to play well in the sandbox and build a dynamic castle is hard work. My specialty is helping you slow down to go fast and achieve those ambitious results, playing around with different ways of saying that. And I really partner with leaders and teams to help with that communication, be it training on these skills, how to facilitate, how to engage people, how to pull people in the conversation. I translate some of those elephants and dynamic situations really well to pull people into the conversation. So I would love to help you help your team rock and roll and build that amazing castle. Let's connect. Have a great day and happy Thanksgiving.